Alright, hello everybody, and welcome back once again to Armchair Theater. I cannot believe it's the end of the semester already, and it's time for final projects. Well, I'm thrilled to be in the group with TJ, Shayna, and Christian, and today we are bringing you The Black Swan. In this movie, Natalie Portman plays Nina, a rising ballerina who lands the role of a lifetime, the Swan Queen. Now this role has two sides to it, the sweet innocent side and the dark evil side. And in order for her to play this part convincingly, she has to get in touch with her own dark side. And in doing so, she embarks on a dark psychological journey of self-discovery, alienating her mother, realizing that she needs to be an independent individual, and discovering her own sexuality. In the end, she embraces this dark side and she says goodbye to her innocence forever, becoming a complete dancer and a complete young woman. You know, as we were talking about this movie earlier on, we decided that if you had to sum it up in one word, it would be duality. There's so many different layers to duality in this film. There's the duality of self, good and evil, light and dark. There's even duality in all the characters that surround Nina, because as the story goes on, Nina becomes an unreliable narrative. That is, her perception of reality becomes distorted. So you can't tell if the people around her are good or bad. And it just furthers the fun, and it makes the element of duality more interesting. Now, one way that the director, Darren Aronofsky, really drives this element is by the use of reflection in glass and mirrors. The cinematography frequently uses reflections throughout the movie to show Nina's sense of otherness, that dark side of her that's just waiting to come to the surface. Whether she's riding the subway, practicing her ballet, or just brushing her teeth, her reflection is always there. In fact, I counted over 30 scenes in this movie where you can see Nina and her reflection. So let's take a look now at how mirrors and reflections are used in the movie to convey extra meaning to the narrative. In this scene, although mother and daughter are in the same room, they're depicted in different panels of the mirror, which shows the growing rift between them. In this scene, as Nina starts to embrace her dark side, notice that the fractured mirror literally shows her in pieces. The cinematography uses a lot of handheld cameras showing shaky and unsteady movement. This is done to portray Nina's emotional state and her isolation. In fact, the majority of this film was shot with a handheld. Aronofsky wanted the movement and the shaky, unsteady nature of the camera to portray the emotion on the stage. But the best cinematography happens during the dance sequences by the use of handheld cameras. They're able to move in and around the dancers and show the spinning and the movement that happens on a ballet floor. It conveys the emotions because sometimes it's shaky and uneven, and sometimes it's smooth as silk. And also, if you notice, the camera shoots a lot of close-ups and extreme close-ups of Natalie Portman's face to show every minute change in her facial expression. Early on in the filming, Aronofsky told Portman that he wanted her to keep her facial expressions very small and controlled and tight, nothing over the top. The reason for this was that he wanted to convey that these emotions are coming from deep inside her, a place that she's very unfamiliar with. One way that sound is used effectively is at the end when Nina transforms into the Black Swan. It shows what's going on inside her. You can hear her breathing pattern change, and you can hear the feathers as they're pushing through her skin. Now, of course, this isn't really happening. It's only done to show what's going on inside the character. And I know we're not supposed to discuss music, but how can you overlook the score of Swan Lake? It adds so much to the movie, and it's what the movie is all about. And it definitely conveys meaning, emotion, and depth. So those are some of my favorite elements in this film, The Black Swan, and now I'm going to pass it on to the next person.